Hi everyone, can you hear me? See me? Sorry for being late. Our dinner plan got a bit corrupt. You can hear me. Hi everyone. Let's wait a few moments. I hope everyone is fine. I really hope everyone doesn't lose its patience with XRP price. I mean, even though those following me for some longer time and kind of know my hunches, my thoughts about where the price could go, even though I'm also struck by a buzz when I see the price drop like, I don't know, 10% or so. So don't get me wrong, this doesn't go without effect on me. But overall, I am still very, very bullish. Can someone tell me how many people we have online? I froze. I hope it'll continue. I have really bad internet today. I hope it'll work throughout the whole stream. Give us more time to load up on XRP. Do it. 69. Okay, so let's wait 2-3 more minutes. There's quite a war going on, right? On Twitter between the believers of Bearable Guy's prediction of 589 plus. The plus is important, I think. And those ones who don't believe. I personally don't have an issue when someone doesn't believe. I only have an issue with people strictly, absolutely, totally neglecting the fact that it can happen. And all of you following me should know that it's in reach. It doesn't need that much. Hello, even German people. Okay, we're, I guess, about the number of people which makes sense to start. Today, not just today, actually always, I don't do price predictions. I just give my thinking, what it may need to make the system work. I definitely don't do no more date predictions. I just think it'll be soon. I really don't know when. Since 1st October, I'm basically kind of on fire. I hope you understand that I don't greet everyone personally, greeting me with evening Michael, hello Michael, blah blah blah. I just say hello to everyone. We're about 100 now. Okay, the idea today, and for that you should hold back with your chat writing a little bit. I really want to try to have a little bit a discussion around my thinking. The purpose of today's video live stream is I want to show you my thinking that indeed there is enough money to make us all rich. Okay, that's the overall target, and I really want to go through those figures I have prepared, and I want to get your feedback. We can play with figures. You can tell me set another value there or there. It's basically all dynamic. The reason why I got this idea is that every time when we believers talk about high prices, be it $500, $5,000, whatever, we always get the feedback there is not that much money in the world. Okay? Now, I did a Google today what GDP means. GDP is basically a figure of all products and services produced within a country. Now, what I don't know about that figure, but I assume it's just what the end party is paying. Let's say I buy a car. I pay the car to the car manufacturer, but the car manufacturer has sub-manufacturers for the navi, for the wheels, for the braking system, for whatever other parts. They pay those other companies. So what I'm trying to come to is money is very fluid. It's not a static thing which holds and sticks. And the figures I'm trying to show today should, I hope, give all of you an idea of that thinking, that money flows. We should get rid of that thinking of these static figures. I think I made the example in another video already. With a $10 bill, I can make, 20 people happy throughout the day. I can go to the hairdresser, pay him $10. He takes a taxi to the next city, pays $9. The taxi driver buys gasoline for $8. The guy at the gas station buys some bread for sandwiches, pays $7, etc., etc. You get the idea. That's the flow of money. It's not just $10. We make actually many people happy. Okay. Okay, so that's the overall picture. Now, when we talk about my figures, I will do a quick rewrap of the figures I have presented in a video. I think it was about liquidity requirements. It was not the live stream. There I made two assumptions. Every person sells his XRP when XRapid requires XRP for a transaction. Okay, that's very important assumption, because without XRP liquid, XRapid cannot buy XRP, there won't be a transaction. So that's an important assumption. The second assumption, which is also, at least until or as long as there are retail investors like you and me, we want to make a profit. We're no welfare organization. Okay, so those two assumptions are important. We sell XRP once it's required, but we want to make a profit. We're no welfare organization. Now, in those tables I'm going through with you and show you my calculations and my figures, I concentrate of a Swift market share between 1 and 10%. I am assuming, that's just my thinking, out of my superhighway theory and all these connected dots, that we, with a bit of luck, may have up to 10% of Swifts market share by the end of the year. I think that's not too outrageous, because Ripple has really signed some giant banks on their RippleNet. Okay, so that's like where we take a look at those tables, between 1 and 10%. We also will concentrate on roughly the $500 figure as per XRP price. Okay? Now let's start with my agenda. So in that other video I've been talking before, I have showed the ledger exposed. That's the table you're seeing now. The green marked accounts total up to 11.5 billion XRP. Today I researched that article again from that guy who died and didn't give his private key out. I think he was invested with 500,000, and at that time XRP was below $1. So it's the total really available supply, maybe less than 60 biggest accounts, because those ones are most certain under certain restrictions they will not be able to sell any amount of XRP they want. But anyway, from this 11 billion, like almost 500 million maybe forgotten due to the fact that that guy died and didn't give his private key password away. My personal liquid circulating XRP supply is more in the area of 2 billion in times when it's increasing, when FOMO starts getting and everyone starts to buy. That's when we see volume which I can deduce up to 2 billion XRP being bought and sold. Okay, now in this table here I have showed in the other video how long that XRP supply, the total supply, here it's in the green one, is this refers to this 11 billion, how long that supply would last when we have a certain amount of Swift volume. So that first column would have been just HSBC and a bit more. So we concentrate on the last two columns, as I said before, between 1 and 10%. Okay, that would make 1% would be 50 billion daily. We're talking about the daily volume, right? Swift transacts 5 trillion daily, so 1% is 50 billion. 10% would be 500 billion. The figures in the table here shows the days, how long that supply would last at the current price. And I said before, we concentrate on the $500 figure. Okay, so at 1% it would last roughly 4 months, and at 10% not even half a month. So you can do your own, give your own ideas what you're thinking. If it's 5%, it's somewhere in the middle, so that the supply would last 2 months. So more people would buy XRP, but because we come back to my assumption from before, everyone wants to make a profit, they wouldn't sell unless the price increases at least 5, 10 or 15%. Okay, now in this yellow table it's the same thing, only it it's connected with sorry, I forgot the word. It connects with the 2 billion I think are actually liquid. Okay, we go again to the $500 column, and at 1% we can see the supply would max out in 20 days there wouldn't be any supply anymore unless the price would increase and the new buyers would be willing to sell their XRP. If we go to 10% after 2 days, the supply, the liquidity would be kind of dried up. Okay. Now, I also tried to, this idea, these two assumptions that we will sell XRP when there is a demand via XRapid and that we want to make a profit. That's basically an assumption for those people who argue technically that one XRP could theoretically be used 28,800 times throughout a day. I don't think so, because the person buying the XRP wants to make a profit, and we will not have 5% every 3 seconds. That would be crazy. Imagine that. So the price has to be stable. Okay, so that's the wrap up from last week, or from that other video where I tried to show how long the liquidity at a certain price, at a certain market share of Swift may hold. Okay? Now on to the figures of today, which I've prepared today. Let's start with an easy one. Every once in a while there comes the argument that the burn rate will increase the price because it reduces the supply of XRP. And in that table I have made some calculations. Daily, monthly, yearly, in 5 years. 1500 is the transactions. Here I listed possible transaction fees. Okay? So when I think we're now, if I remember properly researching today, we're since inception, is that the right word, of XRP ledger, we have burned roughly 9 million XRP or so. So I think that was 2014, please correct me. So that's 4 years, 9 million. So at a 10,000th of a dollar, we would end up in 5 years with 23 million less XRP, pending the fact that we had every second 1500 transactions. That's literally a drop on the hot stone, means nothing. Okay, so just forget about the burn rate. Now let's look again at this ledger exposed table. I have prepared the latest figures from today. So in that fourth column we see the sum of XRP on a particular level. So there is roughly 1 million people who have between 0 and 500 XRP. These green marked figures go up to 100,000 per account. The accounts with more XRP, I'm assuming they're intelligent, they're hodling, not selling. But anyway, if they would sell, it's just like 20,000 or 10,000 people. It's really nothing compared to with the 1.4 million. You cannot see that figure, maybe if I, like here. So that's the sum of accounts with values below 100,000. That's 1.4 million people. Okay, so that's my base calculation figure. Now let's see what are the fees being paid. Can I hold on? Maybe I have to reduce that column a little bit so it's visible. Remember what I tried to show, or try to show today, is can so many people, like this 1.4 million people with less than 100,000 XRP, can we make them millionaires. That's what I'm trying to show today. In this table you're seeing right now, Stuart, can you ask me back that question once I've finished with all the explanations around my figures? Right now I'm concentrating on those figures, sorry, I don't really watch the chat. So basically that table here shows us the fees the banks get for the current system with the intermediary banks, okay? I paid once, or I sent once $600 from Switzerland to Brazil. It cost me 12.5%. 12.5%. So the 5% in that figure, I assume, is more like very conservative or definitely not outrageous, okay? We said before we would concentrate on the 10% market share, so that first column is market share, 10%. That would give us this 500 billion, I showed in the table from the last video, 500 billion dollar transactions daily. That would give us a fee the banks got. I mean, we don't know if it's a profit or if they really need that money to maintain the Nostro accounts. However, we know that those 5% are gone. If you send $1 million, the recipient receives this 5%, this, what is it? 50,000 less, okay? So that's about the fees. Now let's take a look at another table. In this table I have listed prices and I do the calculation based on percentage, and now here comes your role into play. You can tell me any figure I can put into the 10% area. This 10% basically relates to 10% market share, the fee which is nowadays gone lost just by doing a transaction, okay? Now this 2.4 million XRP comes from the ledger exposed. That's for all those accounts up to 100,000, the XRP, okay? Remember my assumptions, we sell XRP when there is an XRapid transaction requiring it. Now we have the prices. Now what I did is I basically divided, let me check, actually it's the product of the price times the available XRP. Okay, 50 times 2.4 billion, 20,000 times 2.4 billion gives us these values. And then I have divided by, in the third column, I have divided by this 25, it's also billion of fees which go to the bank. Okay, because there are people, again, the assumption is to show, can we make so many people millionaires? And we can, because the banks, they got 25 billion for 10% of the SWIFT market. We're just talking 10% now, right? So at $50, it'll take less than 5 days until that there is a return on investment for the banks. After 5 days paying out all of us at $50, it would mean the banks could actually be able to hold XRP themselves, but they cannot because regulation is not in place yet, and yet they would make a small profit. Now at $500, that's the figure I told you we will concentrate on. After like less than 2 months, the fees saved from the system today would already create a return on investment after less than 2 months. Go figure. Okay, I have here 10%. Someone give me a number, I enter a Swift market share and let's see what the figure is. First one I take. I hope you're still with me. %35. 35. That's a bit much. Hold on. Damn it. 35%. That's a figure I'd roughly expect somewhere in about between 6 and 9 months. Okay. So you can see at $5,000 per XRP, after like 4 months, there will be already, that money would be already gone. So it's totally possible to make us all millionaires. The money is there. The banks get that as fee every day. Someone told me 25%. Why doesn't it delete? 25%. My machine is a bit slow. On 25% at $500 after less than a month, they are already do not pay out us anymore. They just move the money around. So it's really possible. Okay. But now, okay, we have done now some calculation on that table. I hope everyone got what I meant. And now that's the interesting table. Remember, we have in the left, that's from Ledger Exposed, that table on the left column, we have how many accounts hold between that and that value, which gives a total of that value. Anyone gives me a price of XRP and let's see how many money would need to be paid out for the people holding less than 100,000 XRP. That's basically 99% of the XRP holders. Any figure, tell me. I wanna hear a price. I think there is a little bit delay between me talking and you writing back. That's why I'm 5,000. Okay, let's go. 5,000. Okay, I think if I interpret that properly, to pay out all those 1.4 million XRP holders with less than 100,000 XRP. Remember, I didn't include the top 60 accounts and the ones above 100,000. It's literally just 10,000 people. So it'll be 12 trillion. Okay, remember that figure. Someone wants me to enter 589, of course. That's what would interest me. 1.5 trillion. Okay, remember that figure. Someone wants me to enter $120. That's 290 billion. Okay, remember those figures. I think it was 5,000 was how much? 12 trillion, right? 589 was 1.5 trillion and 120 was was 290 billion. Okay, now let's go back to this table here. Here I have added the days, And these days actually match these days above here, because it's the same calculation. How long it'll take for that money to be paid out and not making us millionaires anymore. So right now we have $120 there at 10% market share. After 12 days there is no more left with enough XRP to be made millionaire. Let's try it with 589 at 10% market share. In less than 2 months no one would have XRP anymore, and those ones buying at that price, they would wait until it would increase even further. Okay, so now let's get to the questions. I hope everyone has understood that I tried to show that indeed there exists so much money to pay out all those 1.4 million XRP holders with up to 100,000 XRP. We're not talking about those 10,000 holders above, because they will anyway not sell all their XRP. They might throw in one here, one there, but those 1.4 billion, I'm one of them, they also might not throw out all their XRP at the time. They also will hold. May happen in a blink of an eye. It can also take years. Future boy, I don't think. When? I won't answer. Huge hot giver or huge for whatever. I think it'll happen this year, and pending by the figures I have presented, I presume when we go to 10% market share, or a bit less maybe, $500 will be not. Now we are on 589 here. In less than 2 months there wouldn't be any liquidity anymore. And I've been told by a knowledgeable guy, exchanges need to have 3 times reserve. So for 1 million transaction they need to have 3 million liquidity. So basically somewhere in these calculations you can divide or multiply times 3. You could divide in the days or in the price. That's just my hunch. And there we're just talking about between 1 and 10% of market share. Sword, can you send me your question again? Will exchanges increase their XRP holding from escrow? That's a good question. For sure, there is theoretically 1 billion to be released every month from escrow, not escrow, escrow. However, in the past we have seen, I think the average since that was initiated with escrow, I think it was less than 200 million every month. And even I think that whole escrow thing was targeted for 55 months, which is almost 6 years, 5.5 years or something. And 1 year has passed already, and like 1 billion has released, not 12 billion. Okay, so we are already now talking about 7 years still. Now when those XRP come to the market, that will make things more liquid for sure. I don't think that it will drop price. What we have to think about is use case. We are talking here about 10%. Like in half a year it may be 30%. In a year from now it may be 50%. In a year and a half it may be 75%. In 2 years it may be 100%. And for that they will need to have more liquidity. Also I'm pretty sure in about a year's time from now there will be many websites using technologies like Coil for web monetization, and all that will require XRP as well. There will be many holders which just won't sell. I will cash out as soon as it explodes to a value I will cash out a little bit so that I can cover my most urgent requirements, and the rest I will just hold. The longer you hold, the higher the price. I really don't think it'll have an effect, store. What about XRP as collateral for fiat loan? How do you mean that? Huge FR. Like giving out loans instead of fiat via XRP, but those receiving the XRP will want to spend it, because that's what you usually do with a loan, you spend it. I don't think that may temporarily reduce supply and increase scarcity and thus price. Spanner monkey. This sell and buy walls at 38.42 cents. That's nothing. I have seen sell walls around $10,000 for 600 million. We're talking here about 500 billion volume per day at 10%. So $1 million is literally nothing. That's gone in 2 minutes. We are dealing with figures here. Gary, real-time settlement in euro needed. Euro in euro. Well, end of this month the TIPS system will go live, which means real-time settlement, but it's with central bank money. So within EU there won't be any XRP used. That's my hunch. But we're not just exporting within EU, we're exporting to US, we're importing from China, whatever. All those, let's say, extra EU payments, those I am pretty sure will be handled with XRP. Aha, giving XRP as guarantee. Well, that's a different hunch. Huge FR. I hope I pronounce it properly. I think that may well be something which may reduce supply and increase scarcity. Same as payment channel will. I talked about payment channels in another video. A payment channel is a way for companies, it's a one-to-one connection. And yes, like endpoint to endpoint connection. And within a payment channel they can create up to 50,000 confirmed transactions. Could be even more, but 50,000 were confirmed. For the time that payment channel is open, you will need to set the estimated XRP amount aside. So I have no clue about Apple figures or Amazon figures or Uber figures. But let's assume Apple and Visa and MasterCard open such payment channels. Go figure, do the math. How many millions of transactions they have, how much money they may transact, and then get a figure of how much money they would need to set aside for if they create a payment channel for 1 hour, for 10 minutes or whatever. No problem, Gary. Actually, I don't think it's hype. I really think XRP will play a role in Europe. It will not play a big role, or maybe no role, intra-European area, but as soon as we go outside, it will play a role. And BMW and Volkswagen and Mercedes, they export quite some cars outside of EU as well. Butterfly Trader, that's basically what I just mentioned with those payment channels. I think Amazon, Alibaba, what did I say? Uber, Apple Pay, and all those ones. For those ones, I think XRP is not scalable enough. They will need payment channels. And as we now know, each payment channel is open for a period of time, and the amount of expected transactions in terms of volume, for that amount the XRP will need to be parked, so that when the channel closes, that final transaction on ledger can be made with the exact amount made with all those transactions being done within the channel. I hope that answered your question, Butterfly Trader. Elfie, yes, and Elfie, I propose you check my channel. There is 2 videos I've made with accompanying PDFs. One I think is called the Superhighway, and another one I think where I talk about RippleNet will soon connect the whole world. And in both those 2 videos I have PDFs attached with many more. It's not just the companies you list there. G20, that's a discussion going on in certain Telegram groups and on Twitter. I think they will be discussing regulation. That's actually the nice thing about this brilliant company Ripple. They invented multi-hop. With this multi-hop, not one bank. They don't even need Xrapid. Xcurrent is just enough, because Xcurrent 4.0 supports XRP, support Xrapid. It's basically, it supports multi-hop. It's basically a one thing, does everything product, which is so fantastic. You need into one country just one connection. We are certain remittance companies or so with for the XRP transaction happening, that could be a remittance company which is less regulated, and within the country itself it can then be all Xcurrent only. So that's why we do not yet need regulation. I think at G20 they will talk about regulation. That's my hunch. Kevin, how much further? I don't care how much further it drops. I just tell you, don't sell. Hodl. Since 1st of October, it literally can happen any minute that the price will shoot. So please don't close your positions. Don't try day trading. Just sit back, have your cup of popcorn and enjoy. Are you a trader or a hodler? I'm a hodler. I'm a Strong hodler. Of you, was that future boy? I don't quite understand the question. You want to know how many will sell below $1? Substantial amount is pretty. You could let us know if you belong to in any of these ranges up to 100,000. I think maybe the last two are substantial, but everything below I call small investor. Anyway, holding strong. Did everyone understand those figures? Does anyone want to know more about those calculations? I will put the PDF online on the video after the live stream. I may make some screenshots about the calculations so that you can follow my logic. Yeah. $2,800 you call a substantial amount, Kevin. That's good because we will reach 589 plus by the end of the year, which means you'll have around, if I'm doing that properly, 2,800. I think it's about 10 million. Is that proper? No, 1.5 million. With 20,000 it'll be, but a million is fine. Elfie, if you sell your XRP on one of these preferred rapid exchanges like Bittrex or Bitso or Coin, I think coins.ph, I think it shouldn't be a problem. On the other exchanges, the price pressure downwards might be a bit more severe. Could be that on Bittrex you may have to go $1 below the current price, and on Bitfinex or Binance or so maybe $3-4 below. So that you, but I think at $5,000 this is really peanuts. We don't talk about that. No, I'm not checked Ripple, but actually he's following me. I'm one of 28 people he follows on Twitter. Yes, future boy, 589 is nothing. Remember those figures I've just shown? Everything between 1 and 10%. And to many people I talk to, they think 10% is well within reach this year. 500 will last for less than 2 months, and the liquidity pools will have dried up. That just won't cut the case. The reasons for the next bull run. Well, honestly, I think I see two bull runs. Crypto in general bull run. I think that will start once BACT and all those custody and retail exchanges or trading places are ready, and the XRP bull run. That's a different animal, a different beast in the stable. Don't confuse XRP with any other crypto. It's not to be compared. CBDCs. Mickey B. Fresh, what is CBDCs? Should I know that abbreviation? CBDC, no idea. Should I have to have? That depends on how much money you want to make, Keith. It's not a prediction, but I think we will end up very soon way beyond $1,000, maybe even beyond 5,000. That really depends on the percentage of Swift market we will cover. But if it's really 10%, my hunch will be more close to 10,000 per XRP than to 589 something. What do you think about progress? Are we witnessing stagnation? Stagnation in the ecosystem. 2SV, that was your question. No, we just don't hear anymore, but there has always been like pauses from Ripple where there hasn't been so much news. But who has been following me from early on in my days, my principle and main theory was the superhighway. Ripple has been having partnerships with system integrators and gateway providers since 2015. They had like now 3 years time to get their technology into those gateways, into the banks, and I am sure I will eat wood if it's not like that, but I'm sure over 1,000 banks worldwide are technically ready to be on Ripple. Maybe that they need to sign a contract with Ripple so that they actually can use this, but technically it's all there for more than 1,000 banks, 100% sure. Hold on, there was another question. Governments will play no role, I think. Giorgio. Peter Kobe, I'm assuming you joined a little bit late. I will show you the two assumptions I make on my figures. One is every XRP holder will sell when there is a transaction requiring XRP, and the other assumption is every holder will want to make a profit. I'm not supporting a 3-second buy and sell just to make banks happy. I buy XRP and then I want to have at least 15% of profit. So my assumption is, even though technically an XRP can be traded or exchanged 28,800 times a day, it will be maximum 2 times, more 1 time. I'm pretty sure about that. Yes, Richard, there's people explaining that we're there is a guy, he explains this RippleNet similar to a nuclear reactor. Once it's started, it's kind of difficult to stop it. But to start it, it's actually difficult because so many things need to be ready. And we're waiting literally for a worldwide corridor volume to be able to pump up. And the moment there is volume, there will be required a high price. And that's why I think in that area we're still waiting. Could be that this Temenos upgrade, that 1 or 2 of those banks in certain corridors had some technical issues, that it was planned to go live from 20th, but they fucked up, and because it needs at least a certain floor volume, that this couldn't be guaranteed, and that could explain the delay. Samuel, right now banks cannot own any crypto because it's not regulated. That will come, but at the time that will come, the price will be high, and you and me, maybe you and me, we will still have some XRP, but from those 1.4 million XRP holders, I'm pretty sure 1.2 million will be gone, pretty sure. And the new ones coming in There will be a million new ones coming in and buying XRP, but they will hold on. They will want to make this 5 or 10 or 15% profit. Central bank issued currencies, I don't think a problem. That's really something which may just be used domestically. Keith Huseman, yes, 5k per XRP is reasonable. Actually, totally. 10k is a good number. Future boy, are you referring to the holdings of XRP? 10k is fine, 2k is fine. With 2k, you can become easily millionaire by the end of the year. I'm not a genius, but thank you, Hansky. Ali Day, please don't tattoo my name on your on your forehead. Please don't. Just enjoy. Just enjoy. There's really no need to worship or flatter or what. I'm really happy if all of you hold and keep buying more XRP, and once we shoot, we all get rich. Pelty, I think your question I have answered. The whole system will need to kind of start instantly. The volume and the high price. The high price will not be able to be maintained without the high volume, so it needs, both things need to be ready. That's why there is a delay. If I'm Dutch, I'm Swiss, I'm not Dutch. Yeah, 5 weeks is not really long to go, Ali. Again, Ali. But if you follow me, it can take 5 minutes and we're there. Because it will. I am so 100% sure it will happen. That's really the only logical conclusion I can draw. Monique, don't worry, you'll be able to re-watch once we finished. Pablo, still possible, sure. Watch the video after and get yourself inspired with the figures. With that, we're coming to a close, and I have something I wanna show to you. I think that's what we're going to see soon.
Start, 2, 1, boost ignition, and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery, returning to the space station, taking the money from the mission beyond.
And rest assured, we're not just going to the moon. We're freaking going to the next galaxy. Don't forget that. Okay? And with that, my mandatory tune out comes now. I wish everyone a nice week. Hold strong. Be patient. Don't lose faith. Thanks everyone joining. Thanks for your trust. Tell others. Soon there won't be any more time to participate in thousands of factors of profit. Enjoy your time. Stay tough.